short story, which I highly recommend. The white elephant actually comes from the idea of what a white elephant actually was. And that was a gift that a ruler would give to another ruler, that they couldn't get rid of it. And they had to take care of it and work around it. And from there, we get the idea of the elephant in the room. The whole point of this being that, as it turns out, we as librarians have these wonderful, great ideas that we come up with. And we build them, and then nobody comes. And we're figuring out, okay, what do we do now? So first, just to introduce myself, my name is Jerrel Horn. I'm the Digital Scholarship Librarian for Florida Atlantic University. We actually have not had Digital Commons that long, only a couple of years. And so we're in the middle of this elephant in the room time of, we've got this wonderful new initiative, this great repository, and how do we get people to use it? And how do we get people to deposit their works and really make use of all of the things that it could do, especially since Florida Atlantic University recently got upgraded to R1 status. So now we really need to support this whole research effort. I'm not that great with these touchpads. The point is that, as I said, we often tend to operate under this, if you build it, they will come. Great for movies and Field of Dreams, not so great for real life. We create these wonderful ideas, we invest money into these ideas, and they are good, but it's selling people on them. And we're not the only ones that do this. One example I remember seeing was a city that had an area that had become very blighted, and they decided to go in and plant trees and then wondered why the residents didn't want the trees. It wasn't that they didn't want the trees, they wanted to be involved. They wanted people to listen to them. And we get that same problem. We have that white elephant that you have to take it, but you don't want it, just like those residents. And then we end up with that elephant in the room where we all try to avoid the problem, and it just gets bigger. So creating the digital repository, it seems like a good idea. I mean, we've had one, we used it, sort of. It's great for making research visible, accessible. You get people from all over the world accessing it if it's set up well. We invest money and time. But again, it's like no one comes. It's pulling teeth to get anything into there. And as a matter of fact, there have been studies about this, and according to one study that was done a few years ago, 53% of faculty think repositories are a great idea and that depositing scholarship would benefit their careers. 71% felt the impact of their work would be broadened by open access and having their work in a repository. And 68% felt that authors who publish in a journal should have the right to deposit their work into an open access repository, even as a preprint. So there shouldn't be a problem, right? Hate to tell you, but even the best ones have had to deal with this. For example, MIT came up with DSpace, those brainiacs there. No one deposited. Oxford came up with their own version. No one deposited. And these are the huge universities in the terms of research. If they couldn't get people to do it, what about us? So the thing then is, how do you get rid of that elephant? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to have a goal. What's the whole point of this if you don't know what you're going to do with it? So you dream. Our dream was to make undergraduate research available to researchers. This has been a big push at Florida Atlantic, is getting undergraduates actually involved in research with faculty and publishing papers, even though they haven't graduated yet. And high school even. We have a high school where they do that. And we've had some of those students publish in prestigious journals and getting involved in research. We want to show our research to the world. We have some great research we're producing, and we want everybody to see it and use it. Publishing and showing off our journals. Using AI to make the uploading process easier for researchers. Why can't we use AI to read these papers and pull out the metadata that we want, rather than going in and doing it ourselves manually? Building for a world of open access and open scholarship. And most importantly, giving this research to scholars that can stand on the shoulders of what we're doing to create more research and learn more things. Most importantly, we need to commit to talking about this problem. Some of you have gone through it. Others, like us, are in the middle of it. And still others are facing it. And doing something about that elephant, recognizing it from the very beginning, rather than getting into the middle of it and saying, what do we do now? So the first thing is you have to find out why it's there. And these are some other studies that were done. That part of the problem is that over half the faculty they interviewed didn't even know their institution had a repository. Why? Well, marketing. Maybe because a lot of them have been used more as digital archives, and so that wasn't as relevant to faculty. There's lots of reasons, but you can only find out by asking. And this is where that if you build it, they will come comes in, that expectations of that, or in this case, if you build institutional repositories, faculty will submit works, have not panned out with respect to campus IRs. Faculty largely fail to submit work because they're not informed about the repositories and of the benefits that the repositories have. They're concerned that uploading their works may violate copyright and encourage plagiarism. And they don't have the time or effort to give to uploading their works. They just don't see the personal value. And that's the point, is it needs to be valuable to them. That's, by the way, how you start getting engineering interested. I actually do liaison with our College of Engineering, so that is one of the things that I have worked on very hard. I am really a STEM librarian, so it's getting to know them, listening to what do they want out of this, and showing them what they can do. So there are some good signposts to look for. Most faculty like the R once they learn about it and they want to support it, and once they learn what they can do with it. They, of course, do support open access. We have a lot of faculty that have been very supportive of that and using OERs at our university. But they just want to make sure they're listened to, that their concerns are addressed. And younger faculty and graduates, they're more comfortable with this whole thing, and they've got no problem with it. Even older faculty are willing to play with it a little bit. Like, for instance, one professor I'm talking to has I guess you could call it a magnum opus, that we're looking at how we can get it into the repository. It's sort of a book that she wants almost a VR experience with. And she's actually asking how she can upload her work. Once she got to start to see what all of this would give her and what we could do for her. There we go. We have to commit to doing the hard work. I, like many of you, am a department of 2, 1 plus a data entry clerk. I've just had to suck it up and realize we're going to have to do a lot of data entry, a lot of manual work. Yes, there are ways we can make it easier, but it takes time to get there. But you're not going to get there unless you just start doing it. So we're doing the uploading ourselves. We're doing the harvesting. We're manually uploading, which led to another idea. These are things to get the faculty involved. We looked for champions. We got some of them to give us their CVs and found out faculty's CVs are a mess. You think the AI do hallucinations. The faculty ones where I could just like, Arr! But it makes sense. How often do you really go through your CV to make sure everything's correct? They probably put it in there using a working title or shortened it. They know what they mean. We don't. So that's a service. You give us your CV, let us upload your works, we fix it. And that's actually where you could give AI in there a little bit too, more as a yes or no, to go through and say, can I find this? Give me the link. Can I not find it? Flag it so we can go and see what's going on with it. So that's another way to save time and put our effort to where it's going to make the most use. Make it hard to resist by joining in, by providing the metrics and publishing the student research. That same faculty member where I saw his eyes brighten was when I was showing him our repository, and we've got our student ETDs in there already. It was pure coincidence, but now this is something I'm going to look for. I happened to pull up an ETD that he was the advisor for. And he saw how many people had already looked at that student's work and downloaded. And he was like, I like this. So getting that interest, making the work easier, as I said, exploring AI is how can it help with a lot of the manual process. Using the peer review process. This is another idea that was, and this was actually advanced by one of our senior leadership team. And again, having to do with that issue with the CVs and with hallucinations. This was a paper that was published within about the past month or so in Nature, that it turns out a lot of published papers lately have hallucinated citations. What if we offered them a service? You deposit your works with us, we peer review them, we check your citations. Now you've got it prepped to be able to publish it, and we get your stuff. Ideas like that, where they're getting something out of it and we're getting the work. And most importantly, listening to their concerns. Their concerns about plagiarism, about copyright. Is this going to violate my agreement with my publisher? It turns out, if they're willing to publish open access, a lot of publishers are okay with you depositing a preprint, which is where that whole peer review thing comes in. They give us the preprint. We go through the peer review process, get their colleagues to peer review it. They get it all checked, make sure everything's good, and that their colleagues support the research that's in it, and then they give it to the publisher. And we have an excellent paper in our repository that's there legally. So these are all things that we can do to get that white elephant out of our room, get it to move along, and get the repository to start filling up. So then we face the next problem. More people want to deposit, we don't have enough staff, which is a problem for another time. So that elephant then moves on, and our hills begin to fill up. You know, back to that Hemingway story, that couple might have had a lot easier time of it if they'd actually been willing to talk about things rather than talking around them. And that means they're coming. And if you're interested, these are the articles that I quoted. If you want to read about some of these studies about this issue of setting things up or these new initiatives and why aren't people using them.